Get ready to hear some noise tonight. You're just seconds away from Let's Go Blues Radio.
No doubt about it, eh? You're listening to Curt, Bill, and Jeff on Let's Go Blues Radio, the original St. Louis Blues hockey fan podcast. Take it away, boys.
Okay, I don't know. Whatever it is, it's not right on the teleprompter. I don't know what that is. I've never seen that. Now, I can't read it. There's no words on it. Sure. There's no words there. I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. F***ing thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
Welcome to Season 7, Episode 1 of Let's Go Blues Radio. We're live on Monday, June 25th, 2018. This is franchise episode number 134 all time. My name is Curt Price. My Twitter handle is at Curt Price. Bill Day is with us. His Twitter handle is at Billy Blue Note. And Jeff Ponder, his Twitter handle is at jponder94. If you want to send the show a tweet, send it to at LGB Radio, and we will read it on the air. And there aren't many sports podcasts the last 7 seasons, I don't think. How often do you see on like iTunes where the last episode, you want to listen to something and it's like, oh, okay, last episode, March 18th, 2013. So congratulations, guys, on starting the 7th season.
Why March 18th, 2013? I
don't know. It just popped into my head.
Why not? What's this day in blues history for that day?
Is he listening? Just ask him. I'm sure he's like, it's all memorized.
He's already got it ready to tweet out.
Eidetic memory.
March 19th. That was Blues versus Vancouver. It was a bench clearing brawl. Our goal is to get 8,000 views for this show because that is the benchmark apparently for success. Success online.
We gotta put in at least 8 hours of work for that.
Right, and be online at least 3 days.
Yep.
I was gonna say with Bill here tonight, we might get the 8,000 views. I don't know. We'll see.
He is the best looking of the 3.
Well, just, if you would have gotten with the program, before the show, we were talking about how, Curt and I are both wearing brewery t-shirts and Jeff didn't get the memo. Curt's got the Mother's Brewing. So Ponder was talking about just going shirtless and, that would have put us over the 8,000 mark right there.
Probably. Maybe as the show goes on, I'll start losing some clothing.
No, we'll definitely keep it on an hour then. And Bill broke up a little bit. He's wearing the Center Ice Brewery t-shirt.
Yeah, that's an Illinois thing. Over here in the St. Louis side, the good side of the river, we're wearing the collared shirts tonight. So that's why.
It's Collared Shirt Monday.
Yep, Collared Shirt Monday.
Well, according to one of the reviews on iTunes, which if you listen to the show, which obviously you do because you would heard me ask that question. If you listen on iTunes, go ahead and give us a review. There are a handful on there now, and we appreciate it, but the reviews help. So please give us a review if you don't mind. 5 stars preferably. But according to one review that we kind of BS too much in the beginning of the show, which I like. So
I've had others tell me that they like us doing the whole talking about our lives a little bit before the show starts. If you don't like it, fast forward the first 5 minutes.
Like when I was going to say, it's just like when I listen to Puck Soup, I have to fast forward 10 minutes through all the damn commercials at the beginning.
Well, at least we're not commercials.
Right, exactly what my point was going to be. Right. Listen about our lives, not some bullshit, that every podcast talks.
We could have commercials, and if you'd like to advertise with Let's Go Blues Radio, make sure you contact us at feedback. No,
No.
Every time.
Radio at letsgoblues.com. Is that right?
Just tweet us at
Just
LG
tweet
Radio.
us.
It's,
That's better. I will get it right one of these days.
Yeah, we would love to have 10 minutes of commercials to go through in the beginning of the show. That'd be great.
That would be great.
Not for our listeners, though, so much.
Who cares about those 4 people?
No, there's at least 8 watching right now. I got the numbers right here. 8 watching.
Oh, boy.
Literally, it says 8 watching right now. And that's early.
Each of them is our mothers, so there's 3 there. Man, it's good to have you guys back.
You've been a lonely soul in the broadcast booth over the summer.
I have. It's been very lonely. I luckily have a picture. If you're watching right now, you can't see the far wall. I have a picture of the 2 of you hanging up with microphones in front of your faces. So I just pretend like I'm talking to you.
Whatever works for you.
Yep.
Don't forget to visit the Let's Go Blues Radio online shop. Shirts, mugs, and stickers are there available. And to be honest, some of the cheapest price shirts you're going to find, hockey shirts that we priced them. We don't make money on these things. It's just for fun. So I think it's like $1 a shirt. So, and we'll be adding some more stuff here in the coming weeks for the new season. So look out for that.
30 or a 52nd anniversary shirt.
52. I never did make the 51 though. I should have.
We should do that every year. There should be 53, 54.
Yeah, starting with 51 would have been good. We could have done that. Oh well. Jeff, you want to talk about the what you're doing over the summer? We touched on it. We didn't really do it in detail, but summer series.
Yeah, it's not the best. I'm just kidding. It's fantastic. Not because of me, because of the guests I've had. I've been able to interview some pretty cool people. I got some more coming up here. If you have not tuned in for any of the summer shows that have appeared, it's just been fun. Like I said, I've been able to get some cool guests. We've had Mr. Blues hat on. Not that he's cool, but we have had him on. We had
you have cool guests on, but then you rattle off the least cool of all the guests you've had.
Yeah. Well, and then the other not cool one is Jason Martin of the Blues Hockey Podcast.
Right. You're showing the broad spectrum of guests. You say you have cool guests, and then you list off the ones that aren't cool.
Exactly. Well, we've had Andy Strickland.
Right. Dan
Kelly, the second Dan Kelly, not the one that is the legendary blues broadcaster for obvious reasons.
Not a junior.
Dan P. Kelly is his name. He's been on, and then also already recorded the interview. Mr. Zip Zeppa will be on soon. Hopefully some of you recognize that name.
Zipper Zeppa.
Yeah, and we're also going to have Chris Kerber on here pretty soon. Right now it's scheduled that Zip Zeppa's episode will be out next week, but if the Blues do anything in free agency, might have to bump him a week because Chris Kerber has agreed he'll come on if the Blues do something.
Gonna bump him like Matt Damon on Jimmy Kimmel's show?
Yeah. I mean, I hate doing that to him. He was excited to come on. I was super excited to have him, but that might have to wait because I think getting some Blues news out there, if it happens, which we'll see if it does, would probably be a little more vital to the people who listen to the show.
Well, we're looking forward to that. I know it was a big part of my childhood growing up.
Yes. I think all of ours, right? I mean, Bill, you probably listened to him when you were younger, watched him.
Oh yeah. That until Mike Bush came along. Sorry.
I watched them both.
I did too.
Absolutely.
I used to flip back and forth. As soon as the one was over, I'd flip back over to the other one to see if I could still catch part of their show.
Yeah, the Zippos. That was an integral part of my sports fandom as a child. Watching just all the crazy highlights, and that was great. And who can forget the squirrel on water skis? I mean, every episode, it's a classic. But yeah, no, I loved Zip as a child, and it was nice. I am looking forward to hearing this interview.
Bill, you want a deep tease? We do talk about the squirrel on water skis.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Nice.
I tried to get him on the show, but I couldn't book him.
Yeah. On account of he's dead.
Likely.
Probably. I mean, that was, 30 years ago?
So we do have a very vital tweet we need to get to right here off the bat. I cannot pronounce his name. Shy Girls Friendo?
Anton.
Let's just call him Anton. He tweets us and says, "Hey guys, more hockey talk. Chop chop."
Oh, we're already falling behind.
On that note, your beer of the episode, Jeff, what do you got?
I have my favorite summer beer. I know I've had it before. Usually when the playoffs start, it is the Four Hands Contact High, but this is the juiced. This is the I guess one it's got a little more oomph, a little more pizzazz.
Juice.
It's just a little stronger, but it's just as good and definitely recommended for those of you who like a good summer beer to drink on the porch.
Bill.
I have nondescript beer. No, I have
Norma Initiative beer.
Yeah, I have my nice new Ozark Trail can koozie, but Founders Azaka IPA, hoppy, fruity, decent. But after 16 of these over the last week and a half, I'm ready for something new. So it's good, but I prefer something else at this point.
I went local East Side this evening with something from Main Street Brewery 4204 in Belleville. I tried recently the Blood Orange Radler, which is really good. Have you had this, Bill?
I have not.
I have.
It's good.
Yeah, it's great.
It's only got 2.5% alcohol in it, so I'll be sexist here and say it's one for the ladies.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's a handcrafted beer mixed with handcrafted soda.
I think that qualifies more as juice than beer.
Yeah, whatever Boone's was, it's kind of in the same category. But it's really good. I mean, if there ever was a summer beer, this is it, because it goes down quite easy and it's orangey and it's good. So I mean, it tastes good. Today in Blues history, there's not a lot, obviously. We've got the Blues selected Jaden Schwartz with the 14th pick, and they trade David Rundblad to Ottawa Senators with the 16th pick and select Vladimir Tarasenko. So that's a big deal.
That was Yarmo's last draft with the Blues, right?
2010.
I believe so. I could be wrong.
But this is from the @STL Blues History Twitter account. Give them a follow. He does a fantastic job. Also today, Jaden Schwartz's birthday. And also, let's see what else we got.
How old does that make you guys feel? I mean, it makes me feel old.
He's 26.
26th birthday, born in 92.
Oh, yeah.
I graduated high school in 92.
Yeah, I got my driver's license in 92.
I lost my virginity in 92.
So you were 6?
I was 7.
7.
Man, first grade was great to me.
You know what? The whole "I had sex with the teacher" thing didn't make the news back then much, did it, Jeff?
No, it didn't. Especially the fact that it was a male.
But boy, you do it today, and it's all over CNN. I mean, back in the day, you could with a second grader, and nobody knows about it. Bad, terrible joke.
Oh, it's a bad start to the season.
Terrible start.
Yes, we're on top of our game, boys.
I need to think these jokes out in my head before I tell them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it from STL Blues history for June 25th.
Well, happy birthday, General Schwartz.
General Schwartz's birthday? Yeah, right. There was one more from June 25th, 1977, on the St. Louis Blues being on life support and their first round pick and the signing with the WHA. So they, this is a long article, a clipping that he's got shared on Twitter. So if you go ahead and follow him on Twitter, and you can read that clip about the close, where it's entitled "Close Sources Admit Blues Almost Dead" from 1977. So give that a look.
One more tweet we'll mention now, so I have to mention it later. Anton does say contact high is the shiz. And I agree with you, Anton.
I had the contact high juiced for the first time a couple weeks ago, I guess, because you had raved about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just a little, I mean, it's a little more juiced than the, when I first had it, I didn't notice a difference, but that was because it was the first one I had of the season. But then I had a regular one a couple weeks later, and it was like, oh, the juiced is much better.
You know, I when I first tried it, I didn't care for it. But about halfway through, I started to acquire a taste for it. So
started getting a contact high.
I think that's the way it is with most beers.
Yeah.
If you try a new beer and you're like, oh man, this isn't my thing, but then about halfway through, you're like, okay, I could drink some more of this. I don't know what that is about beer, but you can just kind of like acquire about halfway through.
Yep.
It's called alcohol.
Yeah, I guess so. The first one though?
Well, it depends. Depends on the content.
Okay, since our last show, which has been a while, it's been a couple months.
I think the Stanley Cup got one, right?
Stanley Cup got one, yeah, by the Capitals. But first off, before we get to talking about free agency and stuff, the whole Mike Hoffman fiasco stuff, or Mike Hoffman gate, since people like to put gate after things nowadays. Up until the crazy story with Mike Hoffman's fiance, rumored to be cruelly harassing or online stalking, cyberbullying the wife of Erik Karlsson. He was a coveted available player, and the Blues were very interested in Hoffman. What was the package? It was leaked, or somebody rumored to have listed the package the Blues offered for Hoffman last season that Ottawa turned down. Do you guys remember what it was?
I can't remember what it was.
It was pretty good.
It was good. It was a good package.
Yeah, it was better than they got now. But so the Blues were very interested, and they offered him a package, and it was turned down. But after the harassment story surfaced, his stock dropped like a rock, and a lot of teams wanted nothing to do with him. Blues being one of them. So Ottawa decided to cut the losses and was able to trade him to San Jose. And then 2 hours later, the Sharks turned around and traded him to Florida. So all told, the two transactions involved 4 players and 6 draft picks. And the Sharks freed up some cap room, presumably in an attempt to sign Kovalchuk or Tavares, which Kovalchuk is already signed with LA now. But they're still holding out hope for Tavares.
And we all know Tavares is signing here.
Yeah, he says he's not interested in St. Louis, but our GM is still strongly pursuing him.
he's like, leave me alone. So Florida's, I want to ask you guys, Florida's GM, Dave Talon, said that he was confident Florida's locker room would accept Hoffman and wasn't worried about the situation in Ottawa being a problem. He said they did their homework and they discussed it with a lot of different people, and we feel that it's in the past and the distractions are in the past. So would you guys have wanted Armstrong to make a move, make a play for Hoffman and acquire Hoffman? Would you have looked the other way with the controversy?
The only way that I would have been okay with it is if it would have been a ridiculous, trying to think of a Pavel Dimitra trade, where the Blues traded like a 7th round pick and got him. If it was just one like that where you just could not pass it up and it's like, we'll make the players deal with it, okay. But to go with, I guess, what San Jose sent them along the same lines for the Blues, I wouldn't have wanted that noise. I mean, if you can avoid that kind of distraction, I mean, with everything Petrangelo's been through, it's a toxic situation that the Blues need to not. I mean, there's been a lot of rumors that have gone around, and yes, rumors are rumors, that the locker room is not exactly in the best shape as it is. So adding that in there, I don't want to see what could happen. But Hoffman's a great player. He's going to make Florida a better team. It's just a matter of, will this craziness follow him, or is he going to be able to leave it behind in Ottawa?
Well, I think, just the location that he wound up in, is probably better suited to handle crazy, probably gold digging chicks, hanging around the players. Miami, you kind of expect that, come to St. Louis, where we have a pretty fragile locker room to begin with, and not a whole lot of social life. It probably isn't going to go great.
There's so we got some chatter on the YouTube feed. Josh Webster asked, so is Tavares out of the question? And I think a lot of Blues fans think he is. I don't know if Armstrong's just like we just talked about. If Armstrong's just placating to the fans to saying, "Oh yeah, we're going after him." But,
I actually don't think he is. I mean, I do think he's going to sign with one of the 5 teams that we keep seeing around his name. But I don't think it's crazy if he were to if Armstrong were to talk to Tavares and his agent to say, hey, listen, we can offer you more. We can provide you with some bonuses that maybe other teams aren't willing to give you. They've got the cap room. So, you probably are going to have to overpay for him. But, I mean, the Blues and everyone in St. Louis and everyone in the NHL knew that they'd have to pay to get him anyway because every team is going to be throwing money at him. So I don't think it's completely out of the question, but it is a long shot at this point.
Mm-hmm. Josh Webster also asked, any chance the Blues go after Panarin? And I think that it's kind of come out that Panarin does not want to play here.
Which is kind of, I mean, we can bitch all we want about the city of St. Louis, how it's not a top market, how the city's crumbling. But it's kind of surprising to me that he wouldn't want to come here because him and Tarasenko were best friends.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, and that's a point that I wanted to talk about a little bit. So you've got rumors came out last week that Kovalchuk was staying with Tarasenko while he was making the decision. I think we talked about that on our Hangout chat, right?
Yes.
So Tarasenko's got the ear of Kovalchuk at his house, while he's trying to make this decision. His best friend is Artemi Panarin, and he can't convince either of them to come here. Should we be worried a little bit about the long-term future of Vladdy in this town? If he's not able to sell his own friends on it, is he that invested? I don't know. Stupid thought, but me being the pessimist that I've become about the Blues, that's exactly where my mind went to.
Well, what's his name for a pitcher for the White Sox in Toronto for a while, from St. Louis, always rumored to be wanting to play. Mark Burley wanted to come back here, wanted to play here, and it never happened. And it's like, well, he went. Like, if a player wants to play in a town, and he was a good pitcher for a while, and that never happened. So I mean, I don't know. Sometimes,
let's face it. I mean, when say what you want about Paul Stastny, when he was a free agent the first time, and the Blues signed him, every team wanted him. Everybody thought at that point he could be a 1B, 2A center, and I mean the Rangers were going after him. There were plenty of teams trying to get him. Yeah, he's from St. Louis, but he did pick the Blues, so it's not out of the question for a top free agent to come here. It's just, again, I think the matter of it is you're going to have to overpay a little more than other teams just simply because of the market this team's in.
Let's see. Some things are also said on the thoughts on Dominic Bach, which we'll get to in a second. Yeah, there's a little discussion going back and forth between a couple folks on the YouTube chat. So, yeah, I mean, Panarin was my guy. I mean, I would have, out of everybody out there, Tavares, O'Reilly, whoever. Panarin is the guy that I would have loved to have seen the Blues trade for and acquire if he wanted to come here. And I think, and from what I hear, Armstrong was in the same boat. That's the guy he wanted. But best friends with Tarasenko. He's not a center. He's not that number one center that this team has been wanting. But shoot, you put him on a line with Tarasenko, and I don't think it matters who you're saying. But
yeah, I mean, look at his success when he was in Chicago. His success didn't really revolve around who was in the middle. They had Anisimov in there, but it was him and Kane. Yep. Those cross-slot passes that they could pull off. You totally do that with Tarasenko. So I agree. He should be the target if there was any way of convincing him to come here. Yep. He absolutely should be the target.
And think about this. I mean, yeah, you said, you'd probably want a good center for him, and like Bill just said, I mean, the center wasn't the core of that line he had in Chicago. You put Tarasenko with Panarin on the top line with center A, whoever that would be, and then you have Schwartz and Shen on your second line. I mean,
just put Thomas, throw him right in the fire. First line center with Tarasenko and Panarin.
Soshnikov, he can go in there. No, I mean it's going to matter who you put in there, but at the same time, if you can have a really 4 players that could play on any top line in the NHL, and they're spread between 2 lines, I mean that's a win-win for the team. It's just a matter of finding that center depth now that Panarin isn't going to come here.
And maybe you get that center depth in the near future with Thomas.
Yes, but
maybe.
Unfortunately not this year. I mean, he's going to be on the team this year, I think, but
yeah, me too.
He's
you can't expect it. No, I mean, anything he contributes to be gravy. So, I mean, that's fair play. So the NHL Draft, the Blues did trade their first round pick, as many thought they would, but they traded up in the draft, which came as a bit of a surprise to some. They traded up and got Dominic Bach, and to me, I don't know how many of you guys, I have said Radek Bonk in my head. I don't know how many times.
Yes.
I have to force myself to say Dominic Bach and not Radek Bonk, which I'm hoping he pans out better than Radek Bonk did.
I like this kid. I mean, I don't know how much you guys know about him, but from what I could see, and anytime a team trades up right when that pick is getting ready to be picked, because for those that watched, it was they were getting ready to come up. Who did they make the trade with?
It's Toronto, wasn't it?
Toronto. Yep. Yeah, so they made the trade with Toronto. Toronto was getting ready to make their pick, and then Gary Bettman came up and announced the trade. So it was obvious the Blues were like, this kid's not going to stay until we pick at 29. So they got up right then to make that pick, and they have to be impressed with this guy. I mean, when they say that we've been tracking this kid for a while and we've been looking at this kid for a while, this is the one time where you actually have to believe them. And I think Bill Armstrong's been doing a pretty good job as the head of amateur scouting. So I think he's exactly what the Blues are going to need within a couple of years. He's a shooting winger. He's a shoot-first guy. I think eventually, and I'm totally speculating on this, I don't see Tage Thompson here for the long term. I think the Blues use him as a trade chip down the line. So if you want to talk about a good top 6 winger that can shoot the puck, that very well could be Bach in 3 to 4 years.
They traded their 29th pick and their 76th pick to Toronto. Bach is a German forward, and they took him at number 25. So, and the Blues called him. The Blues said that if he was available when they picked, this was when they traded their pick up. They called him a home run pick if he was available for them to take. So, Bach was ranked 12th among European skaters by the NHL Central Scouting and 28th overall by ISS Hockey. TSN had him slated 18th overall. So Bach is 18 years old. He's 6'1", 176 pounds, and so he has some developing to do yet. But I watched some video clips of him today. Not 8 hours worth, but probably about 10 minutes worth. From the clips that I saw, I saw some scouting reports say that he was soft, floated on the outside, waited for the puck to come to him, wasn't intense, wasn't aggressive. Not that you have to be those things in an NHL player. I mean, Brett Hull made a living, floating around, staying away from traffic, and the puck found him. But from the clips I saw, they didn't show that. But granted, these
are how much time did you put watching those clips?
It's probably about a 10-minute clip.
Okay. Right.
10 minutes. So,
10 minutes, huh?
10 minutes.
You obviously did not put due diligence in to watch this guy, Curt.
Well, and I did a search and that's what I found. So, and I was happy with that. Just want to get an idea of what the kid looked like. That's all.
Did you put it on loop at all?
No, I did not, but I could have, I guess.
Okay.
You could have just put that 10 minutes on a giant loop. That's a good idea.
A lot of people thought that he would have still been on the board at 29, but the Blues obviously heard something different, like you said, Jeff. That they heard rumblings that he was not going to be there, so they decided to jump and take him. So offensively, he seems like a nice pick at that spot in the draft, I think. So we'll see how it pans out.
Well, I just hope he pans out better than the last great German hope the Blues had in Jochen Hecht.
Man, Marek Schwarz.
Was he German? I thought he was Czech.
Oh, you might be right. Dang it! I lose the bill again.
Who was the last higher draft pick? The last first rounder we took out of the Swedish Elite League was Berglund, right? Was that the last one?
No, it was Lars Eller.
That's right. That's right. You're right. He was Czech. Dang. I lose. All right, I got to leave the show now.
Right. So just give me the contact info for Chris Kerber, and I'll take care of the next interview.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. No, I was, again, I mean, you look at the last time that I can remember the Blues did this, where they traded up at a certain spot. It was actually with Toronto again. It was when they traded Polak to Toronto for Gunnarsson and I think it was a third round pick. Turned out to be Ville Husso. And there's talks that he's going to be a Blue this year. So obviously Bill Armstrong sees something in this kid, and you got to believe that there's something special with him, and that he really does think he's going to turn out to be something good. And we have no reason to believe he won't be from this, who, again, a guy, Bill Armstrong, I think has done an unbelievable job so far as the head scout for the Blues.
I think from where the Blues picked in the first round, I think that was from what I've read and everything, I think it was a good pick. I mean, I'm not sure what you can expect of that pick, but it seems like a decent pick to me. Lance from the Drop Podcast on the YouTube chat said, "Are you making fun of my 8 hours of film?" Yes, I am.
I had no idea.
No, I'm kidding. You mentioned on Twitter that you watched 8 hours of film on Bach. So I said I did not watch 8 hours of film. That's all. Because I don't have that kind of time, Lance. I don't have that kind of time.
God, you're a jerk, Curt.
It was about 10 minutes today. That was what I put in.
I've watched a little bit. I mean, I have no idea how much I've watched, but from what I saw, I liked.
Yeah, I did too. I liked it too.
Yeah, not to give away any secrets about how disengaged I've been over this summer about the Blues, but this was the first year I didn't read a damn thing about prospects in the first round going into it. I realized Friday afternoon, oh hey, the draft's tonight. I'm gonna get some beer and watch it. And yeah, that was basically it.
Oh.
So, and I turned it off before the Blues even picked because I was so damn bored by the lack of activity.
I was just gonna say that was a very boring. I mean, the draft is usually not that exciting, but that was more boring than usual.
I love every year, and mark the tape, folks, because you can listen to this again next year. Every year, everyone talks about, well, there's going to be this trade, and this trade's going to happen. This guy's going to move. This guy's going to move. It never happens.
That happens at the deadline too. The trade deadline, that same thing.
Ever since the salary cap came in, you just don't see trades like you used to.
Nope.
Well, I mean, last year was pretty active, and the Blues did pulled off that major heist of Shen for Laterra, but
right.
And nice. You'll always hear two things. It's salary cap era, teams are putting that much more into their draft picks. They put so much more value in draft picks over players, or everybody's waiting for the one guy to move, and once that happens, it's going to be like dominoes. And we got both of that this year between Tavares and just the dearth of activity.
Anton on Twitter said, "Here's the problem with Doug Armstrong. At a minimum, he should have done for Hoffman what San Jose did: trade a bad contract along with low-grade pick and meaningless depth player for picks. Where was Doug Armstrong on this? I think we kind of touched on that as far as our opinion is concerned. That, I mean, unless it was a giveaway player, I don't. That's not.
Berglund, Bouwmeester.
Yeah,
No.
if they would have taken the Bouwmeester contract, that's probably one where I've been like, yeah, take the shot.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's a pipe dream trade, though, right?
Yeah, it is. But then, I mean, what if Armstrong had a conversation with Pietrangelo, and Pietrangelo was like, "No, I want nothing to do with that guy."
Yeah, that's completely. I bet a lot of GMs did that, to be honest.
Because especially Pietrangelo in the situation he went through. So I mean, that's touchy.
There was a report on Twitter today that one of the teams that was looking at Hoffman, and maybe it was the Panthers that wound up with him, went so far as to find the college roommate of his fiance and, talk to her to see if she's really that kind of person. I don't know.
When you hear it from multiple sources, other players' wives saying that they're not surprised that she's being accused of this. I mean, there's all kinds of smoke coming from all different directions against this against Hoffman's fiance. So I just even though Hoffman says he said it's 150% innocent. Anytime you go over 100%, you're usually guilty, I think. Josh Webster on YouTube says is Ryan O'Reilly going to be the move? We haven't talked about it. I like O'Reilly.
I think it's gonna. I think that's the move that if the Blues do it, that's gonna be the one. And the reason why that's gonna be the one is because it's perfectly Blues to way overpay for a second line center. Dude makes $8.5 million a year. He's a second line center.
$7.5 million, and he's under contract through 2022, 2023.
Yeah,
he's under contract for a while yet.
Yeah, at a bad. Basically, you're just bringing in Paul Stastny with worse playmaking abilities. You're replacing the salary that you shed.
I'm so torn on him, on Ryan O'Reilly, because like you said, I think he's an upgrade for this team, but I don't know if he's what this team needs, and I certainly don't think he's a number one center. Now, I guess you could look at it as your top two centers are Schenn and O'Reilly, and that's fairly solid down the middle. But you look at the rest of the Central Division, the centers in this division are just ridiculous. And I don't know if he's the guy. And I know people will probably argue with me about this, but I actually mentioned this earlier on Twitter that one of the teams in on Tavares is the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I think that if Tavares goes, and it's not just me, most people think they will try to move Tyler Johnson. He's signed through 2023-24. He's at about $5 million AAV, and he's nearly 34 when his contract expires. He only had 50 points in 81 games last year, but he's also only 3 years away from a 72-point season. So I would like to see if that becomes a possibility that Johnson's available. I'd like to see them go after him. Again, maybe he's not too much different in terms of point production from O'Reilly, but I don't know. Just maybe it's just my gut from just years of watching the Blues and playing myself, but I see him being a guy who could gel well with Tarasenko. And right now, that's my number one priority if I'm Doug Armstrong, finding someone who you can play on a top line with Tarasenko, and then again, have a shift where Schwartz and Schenn are on your second line. Then you have 2 dynamic lines instead of just one like the Blues had last year.
What are your thoughts on Skinner, Pacioretty? Because they're available.
I like Skinner. I think a little bit more than Pacioretty. Pacioretty. I know. Montreal Canadiens. Bill, you're probably wanting Pacioretty a little bit, but yeah, okay, he's not. He's saying no. So we'll get to his thoughts in a minute. and he probably thinks the same thing I do. I think that he's going to get a haul from Montreal. I think Montreal is going to get some good players from him. Maybe not top line talent, but I'm afraid that because I think they're asking for a prospect in return. I'm not willing to trade any of our big prospects for him at this point. Skinner, I would consider. It seems like his injury problems are way in the past now, and he's a very dynamic player. I'd like to see him in a Blues jersey, and I'd like to see Pacioretty too. It's just a matter of I just don't want to give up what the Canadiens are probably going to be asking for him.
Yeah, Pacioretty have 1 year left on his contract. He's 29. He's not.
Yep. Yeah,
I think he's on a downhill coast.
Oh, he has been for several years now.
Well, I mean,
since he was named captain of the Canadiens, and
point wise,
what a shit show that was. His overall play just has been inconsistent.
I can't comment on his overall play, but his point production has been pretty consistent over the past 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, last year was a different story. He had 30.
Last year was bad.
He fell off last year, but the 4 years before that was 60, 67, 64, 67. So, but
no, he's still a good player.
He was matching his number.
Yeah. There you go. No, I think he's still a good player. It's just, and again, Bill could probably speak to this more than me, but he just doesn't. He was a guy that could, late in a game, I think he led the league in game-winning goals for a couple of years in a row. Correct me if I'm wrong. But
you know what? Real quick, the game-winning goal, I think that's a... Okay, go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say that he was a guy that you could trust to put out there late in the game, and he could score a big goal for you. Game-winning goal, game-tying goal, whatever. But I just don't feel like he's that player anymore. If the Blues were to acquire him, I think they would expect to put him in a role like that, and I just don't think he's that guy anymore.
Yeah, no, I think he'd be a great fit on a team like the Lightning, or like LA, who no longer needs him because they have Kovalchuk. I think he would be a great second line left winger for a lot of clubs, and somebody who's going to make him a first line winger. And I don't know. He'll get paid, but I don't see him being the kind of player that can win that many games single-handedly for you. So
the thing with, and to go back to O'Reilly, he is due a $7.5 million in bonus money on July 1st. So yeah, if that's why he hasn't been moved first already, I guess. But so that kind of throws a wrench into the whole trading him thing. So,
well, what I'm hearing is that if a team were to acquire him before then,
they would
going to be less.
Right. Well, because they'd owe him the money.
Because that way they'd be off the books for the money. It'd be the new team
that
would pay him. But after July 1st, the price is going up for what you're going to have to send Buffalo.
Right, because Buffalo had
I think for the Blues, I think it's a matter of we'd rather just because of where this ownership situation's at, and I'm speculating again, but where they're at, I would think that the ownership would say, yeah, go ahead and possibly lose another draft pick or another prospect so we don't have to pay that 7.5. I think that's more where the Blues' heads are at. Whereas a team like the Rangers, the Maple Leafs, they'd be more willing to pay that money and pay less in terms of what they're trading to Buffalo.
Goaltending next year. We there was some light rumblings. Some people thought that Allen might be moved or tried to be moved. Whether or not that's actually occurred, whether Armstrong's tried to, we don't know. But the backup is up in the air right now. Who do you guys? First of all, I wanted. This is what I wanted, and I don't know. Some people didn't agree with this, but I wanted Allen moved for a pick, say to Buffalo, get a pick for him, a third, fourth round pick, whatever. Basically unloading him, and then signing Grubauer or trade for Grubauer. That's what I wanted the Blues to do, and let Grubauer be the number one on this team. Now, I don't think you want to go Husso backing up Grubauer necessarily. Maybe you would. I don't know. But I wanted to see Grubauer here, and that obviously didn't happen because he went to Colorado for a let's see, where he went to
Brooks Orpik,
yeah,
who's been bought out.
him and Brooks Orpik went to Colorado. They bought him out. Which, speaking of which, how nice is it to have a team that actually, to get out of a bad contract, will buy out a player?
Yeah.
Space. How nice is that? The Blues don't do that.
Yeah, can't afford to.
Yeah,
They have a GM that dishes out bad contracts every year, seems like, and then to never buy any of them out just makes things worse.
Right, and that thinking about if I'm Tom Stillman and I have to do a performance review on Doug Armstrong, it's all about those bad contracts. And yeah, he's saving you money by not buying out these players, but he's holding your team back. I mean, I don't know. At this point, I fully believe that Armstrong is the reason why the Blues are in the situation they're in, and until he's gone, there's not a lot to be hopeful about.
Well, when you're having a few contract issues with that, they're kind of, I mean, they have cap space right now. They don't. It's not like they're strapped. They can't sign anybody. They have, what is it, 12 million in cap space, something like that. Yeah. So 12, 13. So they have a lot of cap space to sign somebody. They could sign Tavares if they wanted to, or if he wanted to come here. But that it's not handcuffing him to that degree, but it does hurt because you've got, millions of dollars in going to guys that, that he just signed, that all of a sudden now is a big deal, is a bad contract. Sobotka is a bad contract. Berglund, it's a bad contract. He just signed these guys.
We were all kind of talking when the show, our last show of last season, let's hope that he can pull another Laterra move and move one of these bad contracts at the draft. But the problem is, you keep doing that since you're not going to buy him out. You're losing prospects. You're losing draft picks. I mean, people forget, that trade was great, I think, overall for St. Louis, but you can't make that trade all the time. You can't keep giving up first and second round picks to dump off bad contracts. Eventually, you just have to stop signing those bad contracts.
Yep. And it's not like you signed a guy to a bad contract that contributes significantly, but you're just overpaying him. It's not like, we needed a second line center, so we had to sign so-and-so. We overpaid for him, but we got him.
Derek Roy.
You've got Derek Roy. You've got Berglund, who I think it's common knowledge now, he had one primary assist to a goal scorer last year. I think it was. So and that's awful.
And how many of his goals were scored in the last 15 games of the season? Yeah, that's huge, and you want goal production at the end of the season, but you also need it throughout the entire year. Yeah. If Berglund's putting up 25 goals and getting them throughout the entire year, maybe the Blues win one or two more games, and you make the playoffs.
When you miss the playoffs by 1 point, there's all kinds of ways you could say they could have made the playoffs, and that's one of them. I mean, you could pick out one person and say, "Gosh, if you had a better month of November," but whatever. But okay, so back to goaltending. The backup situation. What do you guys envision happening? Are you on the Husso bandwagon, or do you want somebody else in here? What do you want to do?
I'm on the Husso bandwagon just because I think that we're stuck with Jake Allen. We're not going to be able to move him. Obviously they're not buying him out, and nobody's taking that contract. So there is one scenario by which I'll go back and amend it, that I would take Max Pacioretty, and if you could do a 1-for-1 swap for Jake Allen, which Mark Bergevin, maybe he's dumb enough to do that. He's proven himself pretty dumb.
They'd have a lot of money in goaltending.
Yeah.
They'd have $14 million in goaltending.
Yeah. But he'd probably trade Carey Price to somebody for a third-round pick.
Doesn't he still have like 8 years on that contract?
Carey Price's contract goes forever.
It's awful.
And yeah. As much as I love Carey Price when he is in form and not injured, that contract is, it should be unmovable. I don't know that it would be. And the one team that I wouldn't be surprised trying to make a deal for him at some point would be Vancouver, since he's from BC. But I think the goaltending this year is going to be Jake Allen, and the best bet for the backup should be Ville Husso. Give him a chance to come in and clean up when Jake shits the bed, if Yo's willing to give him a shot.
Yeah, I think the only reason I'm okay, because I want to see Husso play too. The only reason I'm definitely okay with Husso backing up is because he's going to play a lot. Because let's face it, Jake Allen is going to have a rough stretch at least once, at least probably twice or three times throughout the year.
Well, the numbers
it's called January and February.
Right.
The numbers also bear out too that Jake Allen plays better when there's a 1A and 1B.
Yeah, and I think that that's going to have to be the case. Now, I'll say if the Blues went out and acquired, for the lack of better name, let's just say Carey Price, the Blues go out and get Price, and he starts 65 games, then I don't want Husso backing up. I'd rather he starts in the AHL. But because Jake Allen can't play more than 45, 50 games, I want to see Husso as the backup. And, and obviously if things change, if they go out and acquire another goalie, unprecedented, we didn't see it coming, maybe my opinion changes. But it looks like Jake Allen is the Blues goalie next year, which means I want Husso as the backup, because if there's any chance of him stealing the job from Allen, I'm all for it. I don't know if it'll be next year, but I think a year of NHL under his belt, I think we could see Husso possibly taking the reins at some point in 2019, 2020.
Jeff wanted to just throw him into the fire. Start 40 games.
Yeah, get out there, boy. Let's see what you got.
I would love to see that.
I would love to see it if he's up to the task. I hate to throw him out there and have him not play well, and then all of a sudden we're kind of screwed.
See, granted, I've never seen him play live, but I've watched 8 hours of tape on him. Just kidding, Lance. I'm just kidding. All I was gonna say was that when Jake Allen was coming up, and other names like Jason Boccaccio and all the past goalies for the Blues, it was always.
What about Binnington?
Not Binnington included. It's always been, there's a chance this guy's not ready. Like Jake Allen, people talked about, he's not a big game goalie. Let's see if we can get a couple more big games under his belt before he joins the NHL. Blues call him up and we start seeing that issue. I haven't heard anything like that about Husso. From all accounts, he's ready for the NHL. And that makes me excited. And I think if all scouts and everyone's saying, head coaches in the AHL are saying, yeah, this is an NHL goalie, give him a shot. Let's see what he can do.
Josh Webster also tweeted or commented on YouTube, why is Berglund, Sobotka, and Bouwmeester still on this team? Because nobody wants a bad contract. And I think probably Armstrong overvalues those players a little bit. And let's see. He also says Jake Allen has proved that he can be good. You think eventually he becomes consistent. I've said this before, and I'm going to stand by this, and I hope I'm wrong. I think we've seen the best Jake Allen can give, and I think that it's going to be inconsistency. So hopefully I'm wrong about that, but I don't see why this year should be any different. Because if you look at his numbers as well, they're getting the past 3 years have gotten progressively worse. So I'm not sure why all of a sudden people think he's going to turn around and have a great year this year. Hopefully he does, but I just don't. Nothing that I've seen says it's going to happen.
I think last year was the make or break year for Jake Allen. I really do. I feel like going into last year, it was after the injury the year before and after Brian Elliott left town, it was, okay, Jake, this is your job now officially. Stay healthy. Let's see what we can do over a full season. He started off okay. I know a lot of people say that he was gangbusters at the beginning of the season, but I think we all talked, the three of us talked, that we don't believe that. He was okay. He had
some good games. He had some really good games early on, but he also had some bad games that we won. And nobody cared that he was playing poorly in those games because we won games.
And honestly, I don't care either. If he's good enough for the Blues to win games and they're scoring goals, that's all you can ask for.
Just win, baby.
But once the Blues goal scoring dried up, it started showing the type of goalie Jake Allen is. And then again, he had to have another mental break. It just, again, I think last year was the year for he was having to put up or shut up. And I think it's time he shut up.
The Blues just signed Soshnikov. It was rumored that he was going to go back to Russia to play, but on Friday it came out that the Blues were trying to sign him, and they did. 1 year, one-way deal, $800,000. The only issue I have with this, and it's a no-brainer, everyone knows this, is that he just can't stay healthy. Not that it's a big contract, it's $800,000, it's nothing. Low risk, high reward, I guess, or maybe high risk, high reward. But he not high reward, but I mean, as a fourth line guy,
it's
okay. I just no.
High risk, and maybe you get something out of him.
He's a high risk player, but if he's healthy and playing, he can be an impact fourth line guy. I like him as a fourth line guy.
So if you talk about energy lines, that guy has energy.
Yes.
And that's probably what leads to his brain injury problem, throwing himself around all willy nilly in the corner. But that's that one day long ago that was valued in a player.
I'm not under the impression that he's going to play the entire season. He's gonna. No. I'm thinking. I don't think he plays 20 games before he gets hurt this year, and he misses some time.
Yeah.
So. And Brodziak. The Blues have expressed interest in resigning Brodziak, but there's no rush apparently. Do you guys want him back?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's linchpin best fourth line center that we have had in 10 years.
Ryan Johnson.
He made $900,000 last year. What would you pay him?
$1 million.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is the rare occurrence for a bad team last year where I would actually give a raise to a guy. I thought not much one. I mean, not much one. I'd give him $1 million, like Bill said, but
how many years? He's gonna win 3.
2 years, $2 million. 3. I'd give him 3 years. 3 years, $3 million.
He is 34 years old. So
he's not.
Yeah, I give him 2.
He's not injury prone. I mean, maybe you get mad about that third year when it comes, but he's been a trooper for the Blues since he came here, and I'm with you. I want the 2 years, $2 million, but if they gave him a third, I'm not going to sit here and bash Armstrong like I would for other moves. So, but no, I'd love to have him back. I think he's a great fourth line center, and again, when we saw after the Stastny trade, he got bumped up to the second line, and I thought he was admirable for being a fourth line guy.
Yeah. Very, very underrated shot for a fourth line face-off taking kind of guy. A wrist shot to the upper corner, glove side. It's something to behold.
I like.
He could be a mean SOB too.
He can mean, and he's consistent.
Yeah,
he brings consistency, which not all players do on this team. So I mean, granted, and it's the most Blues thing ever to just be talking this much about a fourth line guy, but he's a good fourth line guy. You need fourth line players, and he's a good one. So I think I think he'll probably sign for more than $1 million, a little over $1 million, but just because of the way Armstrong does things. And he's got to sign somebody, right?
Right.
Yeah. So not that we would expect to do this, but I think we can share a little breaking news. The Blues just released their RFA qualifying offers tonight.
Yep. Edmondson, they did not. Well, I saw this earlier. Did not offer Vanelli, and who else?
Justin Selman.
Yeah, but they offered Edmondson. Who else?
Schmaltz,
Dmitry Yashkin,
Fabry, Sundqvist,
yeah.
Yaskin, and Mackenzie McEachern.
Why Yaskin?
Why Yaskin? Why Oscar Sundqvist?
I mean, I know you need bodies, but I don't know what anybody sees in Yaskin to give him a spot in the lineup. I just don't.
He got a lot of social media love last year.
I don't know why.
I didn't really understand it. I mean, I think as a fourth line player, I'm fine with him. But the problem is the Blues have 6 fourth line players on the roster.
Right. If you want to put him in the lineup as opposed to Thorburn and scratch Thorburn all the time, I'd be up for that. But Give a spot start every now and then, just to whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if you had a fourth line of Soshnikov, Yashkin, and Brodziak, and Thorburne's gone, Sundqvist is gone, Upshaw's gone, okay, I'm fine with that.
But we lose toughness, Jeff. We don't have toughness. We lost Reeves, losing Thorburn. We got pushed around last year. All the people that are upset about the Reeves trade.
Tell me about how the Blues are going to be able to pull it off and win.
Pull what off?
Without toughness.
Oh.
No, you got to be a social media influencer.
Oh, I got you.
Those are the same people, right? The same people that complain about toughness, the same people who are the social media influencers. Is that a bad assumption?
No.
No.
I think you're correlating someone's desire for the team to be tough with their hockey intelligence, their hockey IQ.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. I wouldn't go that far. I like a tough team myself. I wouldn't be an asshole in the air. You are, man. Ryan Reeves is available too.
Yeah, heard Vegas is very willing to part ways with every one of its UFAs.
Yeah, that's very what's his name? Huizenga like.
Yeah.
For the Marlins.
Yeah, that is shocking.
Man, I mean, I think they won despite. I don't think he wasn't trying to win this year. I don't think necessarily.
No, that was just a special locked in group.
Yeah,
you know,
it really was.
Neil's available. Came together and stayed together.
Speaking of which, Neil's available. Will be.
My problem with Neil, with him being a free agent, he's gonna probably get a hefty paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He'll get a steam contract.
Yep.
If you can convince him for a year, 2 years, I'm all for it. But there's no way he's going to get 3 or 4 years somewhere and overpaid way too much.
Yeah. Do not want him in a Blues uniform.
Lance said that Reeves wants 3 years, and I heard that too.
I'm so torn on that. Because I am of the belief that it's ridiculous to keep bringing back the old crew that couldn't win. But at the same time, I've said it before, I think Ryan Reeves is one of the best fourth liners in the game. But again, the Blues have 6 to 7 fourth liners as it is.
Right.
So at the end of the day, if you get Reeves, they better be moving some of these other names.
Yeah. Chris Thorburn, we're looking at you, bud.
Yep.
I hated that signing at the time, and I hate it now.
Yep.
Prospect camp starts tomorrow at the Mills or whatever it's called now. What's it called now?
It's the St. Louis Outlet Mall.
Okay.
It's the Ice Zone is the name of the rink.
The Ice Zone, and how many stores are there? Like one?
I believe they have 4.
Wow.
No, they probably have more than that, but it's not much more.
Okay. I remember going. It's a ghost town.
Yep.
Sad. But Team Kachuk versus Team McInnes in Prospect Camp. So that starts tomorrow.
Are we going to break down every player?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
We're about out of time. But Thomas and Kyrou and Costin will be there. So stop by and take a look at the Blues' future.
Yeah, check out the Blues website for the official schedule. We won't go over that on this show. You can look that up. But yeah, it's I've went a couple times. It's usually interesting to watch, and it's fun seeing the young guys get out there and skate and see how quick a lot of these guys are.
Bach will be there too.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic Bach. We're number 18. Got a real number. Is that because he was drafted in 18? Is he just wearing the jersey they gave him at draft day?
Yep. I guess so. That makes sense, actually.
And I guess to close out the show here, we can do the Blues social media fails. There's a conversation we had on Twitter with a gentleman, Frito, at Frito1961.
Any chance that's the same Frito from the movie Idiocracy?
It's a good bet. I hadn't even thought about that.
Go away, I'm baiting.
Go away, Baden. I love that movie.
Great movie.
This was in response to Fabry's hair in STL Blues _NHL. It was a comment about Armstrong not making moves and in 5 years what the team will look like. And Frito said he may not have a fan base in 5 years from now if he doesn't do something this offseason. Which I was like, wow. So this offseason is the fork in the space-time continuum for the Blues fan base. It's either do something this offseason or there will be no fan.
In 5 years.
5 years.
The Blues will be in Saskatoon.
Ooh.
That's the claim he's making.
Wow. Fedorko's hometown. Man. And he also said, you're right, 50 years of failure doesn't matter who owned the team. It's still failure. You know what? This kind of mindset. I know winning the cup is the goal. I get it. It's what everybody wants badly. It's what I want, but I don't consider this franchise a failure. I wouldn't be a fan of this team if I thought of the Blues as a failure. I don't know. I'd have better stuff to do with my time than to watch a failure on TV. I grew up watching this team. Tons of fantastic memories. It sculpted who I am, being a hockey fan. I don't consider them a failure just because they've won the cup. Even that is the end goal, but which they haven't gotten to. But that's if you're so down on this team and there's 50 years of failure and you just can't stop talking about it, just do something else.
No, I agree.
I mean, why put yourself through it? If you're so miserable watching the team, just do something else. Don't watch the team then.
No, I've said it on the show before that as passionate as I am about this team and as much as I love covering them for the media when I was in it, at the end of the day, this is entertainment. I mean, this is supposed to be your escape from your problems in your real life. This isn't supposed to be the source of your problems. So if you're at that point, honestly, stop watching them because it's not worth it. Hey, could I add one more social media fail?
Yeah, go right ahead.
One I sent you guys earlier today, I believe.
Yeah.
From STL Today forums, also known as the Asylum. I'm guessing this is Phoenix Blue, PHX Blue, posted today. Allen is still cursing this team, is the topic. And in the body, haven't been on here for a while, but reading through Reds about certain players who do not want to play for the Blues. It's pretty plain and obvious to me that Allen is the biggest reason why. If you're wanting to compete for a cup, would you want to go to a team that has an unstable Jekyll and Hyde goalie that is the laughingstock of the NHL? F no. Allen is the potentially costing us from getting more talent. The most important move Army can make right now is to not get a top 6 forward. It's to replace Allen with a respectable goalie. Once that happens, it'll be much easier to attract talent because then the team will just be a piece or two from contention. So what this man is saying is the reason Tavares and Panarin don't want to come here is because of the goaltender the Blues have.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yet John Tavares is talking to Dallas, who hasn't had a stable goalie since Marty Turco.
Yeah, that to me, that's he's just pulling stuff out of his ass, and that's I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why a player will or won't sign for a team, and I mean, sure, a player wants to win, but I think mostly about money and exposure and endorsement deals and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, and to give him, I guess, a little credit, there's got to be a little bit of, well, I'm going to look at this roster makeup. They don't look ready. Maybe they look and say, yeah, that's not a strong goalie that's going to be their starter. But it's not going to be the end-all, be-all. It's not like John Tavares was like, well, the Blues are willing to offer me a bunch of money. I'll be able to play first line with a superstar. But they have Jake Allen in goal. I'm not going there. There's no way. That's not how it works.
No, I don't. I don't. That's not going. I don't think Jake Allen is going to be a deal breaker for anybody coming here. Even though, I mean, it might be something you look at, like you said. I'm not happy about it, about him being a goalie. But who knows? You know, goalies are so fickle nowadays. I mean, goalies can have a bad year and follow up with a great year. Maybe that's the case with him. Maybe he'll turn around and have a great year. I don't know where. Bill's being attacked by a tongue.
I don't know what the hell his problem is all of a sudden, but yeah.
You might want to explain that's a dog.
Yes, this is a dog. This is my obsessive dog that because I fed him a couple of pretzels earlier, now he smells it on my breath and he thinks he's entitled.
Is he a millennial? He's a millennial, isn't he?
Totally a millennial. Ugh. Actually, I think he's the generation beyond millennials. Gen Z.
Maybe it is the case, Jeff. Maybe that is the reason why.
Yeah, I don't. In terms of, I mean, just sports rosters in general are too short term. Unless you're Carey Price or Rick DiPietro, no goaltender is going to stay somewhere forever. I mean, look at Roberto Luongo. I mean, his contract, it was, you know, he was frustrated that his contract was immovable. Somebody finally took it. So if you're looking to go somewhere for the long term, you're not going to look at the current roster and say, yeah, there's, you know, one problem that can't be fixed. I'm not going there. That's just dumb reasoning.
Especially with Allen, because if Allen's not working out, he's not going to stay here. I mean, they're not going to. If Allen plays, if last year is the norm, or he continues his downwards spiral, like he's not going to be here. They're going to delegate him to backup. Husso might take over number one. If he's here, he's going to play backup minutes. That's just, I mean, if they can't move him, he's not going to be the number one goalie if he can't improve his play from last year. This is not going to happen.
Well, I think we talked about this on our last show of the season. I think he still has value too, because he's not an old guy. He's young. We've talked about how a change of scenery has worked wonders for many players. So you never know. I mean, a team could look at him and say, hey, he's just on the wrong team. You move him to our team. All of a sudden, he might be what's the guy in Minnesota? Devin Dubnyk. Might be the next Devin Dubnyk. You don't know.
I think he has value too for the same reason. But whoever it is, it's just not working out here. And I think, like I said, I think that we've seen his best here. Hopefully, I'm wrong. We have another tweets to look at here before we go.
Anton did tweet us earlier. Didn't read this one yet. That says, this show should be all about the partial rebuild that needs to happen to this team. He lists the numbers, but I'll say the players. Berglund, Sobotka, Bouwmeester, Steen, Gunnarsson, Hutton, Yashkin should all be dealt for something. Without that, and then he has a GIF that just says, we suck.
Yeah. I mean, and not to defend. Every team has some bad contracts on it. It's just the way it works. But yeah, we've been saying the same thing about Berglund and Bouwmeester specifically for how many years now? So I mean, they're and we're apparently going to keep resigning Berglund until he can't play anymore. I think that's the way it's going to go. So he's just going to be a Blue for life, and we'll just got to live with him.
Yeah, longest tenured Blue.
So we had a couple questions earlier that people had sent us. I'm not going to read the one from Art Lippo, but thank you for that question, Art. That was well, if you know Art Lippo, you know what he probably sent us. We also got one from Is it Deneen Preston? Danine. I'm guessing Deneen.
I gotta find it here.
At Raziel Marie, she says, "What should the Blues' priority be? There seem to be many holes to fill that fans be in full-on Doug mode this summer." Yeah, I'm guessing she's saying there's a lot of holes and fans are upset. So I mean, we kind of talked about this already, but I mean, I think right now the priority needs to be to get another top 6 forward, preferably a center if you can get it. But at this point, with Tavares and Panarin and everything that happened there, I think it's just a matter of getting whatever you can to get some more scoring on this team.
I agree, and it's almost a toss up for me with goaltending and the number one center, but I think with getting someone like Husso in here to back up Allen, maybe Husso outplays Allen and takes over the number one job. It's just fantasy land thinking. So maybe the goaltending thing could be fixed in-house if we get lucky. So I think and getting a number one center is something we don't have, unless, of course, we get lightning in a bottle with Thomas and he has first-year magic or something. But so, yeah, I'd agree with you. I think a top-line center.
Yeah, I'd have to agree that we need to put more emphasis on bringing in other offensive talent. I think unless there's another miracle trade that can happen, the change of scenery trade that Jeff alluded to on goaltending, I think we've got Allen. We should be happy with Allen and Husso. Hopefully Husso takes over. But yeah, really hoping that they can pull something off, bring in something without subtracting too much. The one thing I didn't weigh in on when we talked about Jeff Skinner earlier, he's another guy I wouldn't mind seeing brought into the fold here. Not worried about his injuries at this point. But I don't know. What I'm hoping now for the next week is the Blues give me something to be optimistic about, because going through the missing the playoffs and watching several Blues battle for the cup, TJ Oshie getting to lift the cup, and then the boring ass draft that we just saw, the lack of moves. There's September can wait to get here as far as I'm concerned.
We keep saying best case scenario, Ville Husso takes the number one job. Really, at the end of the day, for me, best case scenario is what Curt kind of alluded to earlier, of Husso pushes Allen, and Allen maintains the number one job while Husso plays very well behind him. And next summer, Allen has even more
trade
value. You already got your number one waiting in the wings. Move Allen next summer for a scorer or a defenseman or whatever you need.
Yeah,
that I think is the best case scenario there. It's just I know that one's probably at this point less likely than Ville Husso,
I think,
taking the number one job.
And I always feel weird getting excited about Husso because, I mean, it's putting the cart before the horse, because he hasn't played a minute of NHL hockey yet. So he's really, I really need to see him play and see how he is in a handful of games before I really form an opinion on whether or not he can play this year. So you got to get him out there to see. So you're not going to know until he gets up here, and if they're not going to sign a backup, which I guess we'll find out, after July 1st, what happens with the backup situation.
Maybe they'll get like a Brian Elliott deal where they sign a guy that they're basically expecting to be the AHL starter, and then he ends up being lights out, takes over a job in the NHL and takes the starter job, which is exactly what Elliott did. We don't know. I mean,
what about Anderson?
I have kicked the tires on him a lot. I like Craig Anderson, but I mean, he's getting up there now. I mean, maybe for a short-term fix, maybe, but I don't know. I think at this point, I'm more comfortable
If it's
sticking with Allen.
If it's part of the Jake Allen change of scenery trade, bring him in for a year, let him 1A, 1B with Huso. Yeah, great. But he's definitely not long term. I mean, hell, he's really been around the NHL since what, 2004? I mean, he's been around a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. So I guess my takeaway is give me something to be hopeful for. That's all I'm looking for.
Do something fun, Doug. Give us something to talk about.
Yeah, make us have a show again like this in a couple weeks.
So yeah, our next show will be TBA to be announced. So
well, the next Let's Go Blues Radio will be next week when I release the Zip Zeppa episode or Chris Kerber episode, depending on what the Blues do in free agency. But the next live show, the next regular show is such as this, as Curt said, TBD. We'll see what the Blues do, and just stay tuned on social media to decide. We'll decide if when a show is warranted.
So that will do it for this week's episode of Let's Go Blues Radio. For Jeff Ponder and Bill Day, I'm Curt Price. That will conclude this week's broadcast of Let's Go Blues Radio. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Sport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available. I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to #1. Now there's no more blues for our St. Louis Blues.